Hello, everyone. Welcome back to MJ's Bible Study. Today, we're going to go over, did Jesus call himself God? This comes from a lot of people thinking that Jesus has to say, I am God, to be validated as Jesus saying, I am God. This comes from pride on people's side, because if you tell Jesus, or tell God, that is, hey, if you don't say it in this certain way, then I'm not going to believe it. And this comes from self-centeredness, thinking that you know better than God, and we need to stay away from that and just read the Bible. There's a lot of concepts that are in the Bible that are not explicitly taught in the Bible. For example, God is omnipresent and omniscience, yet you cannot find these words in the Bible, but the concept is absolutely there. This is John 8:58. It says, Jesus said to them, I tell you the solemn truth, before Abraham came into existence, I am. So when a person, a biblical scholar, goes and says, hey, look, Jesus is indisputably calling himself God, because he's saying that he is I am, in John 8:58. And this is exactly what Jesus is saying. And this comes from understanding the Old Testament. The Old Testament, God revealed himself to Moses as I am who I am, or I'll be who I'll be, the existing one, the one that doesn't come into existence. He's self existence. He is God before everything was I am. Here's a commentary on this very word, before. This commentary says the contrast between the verbs iginifa, I think is how you say it, and ime is as unmistakable as it is in Psalms 90, verse 2. Even before the mountains came into existence, or you brought the world into being, you were the eternal God. You can see that this same word is being used as before the mountains, before everything exists. You are the existing God. You are the eternal God. So when we read in John 8:58, when Jesus says, I tell you the solemn truth, before Abraham came into existence, I am. And we know that this is saying that Jesus pre-existed before Abraham. And not only pre-existed, he's claiming to be the burning bush, the self-revealed one to Moses. Leon Morris, another biblical scholar, this claim to pre-existence before Abraham and equality with God was so controversial that it promoted the Jews to attempt to stone Jesus for perceiving blasphemy. You see, when we fail to understand why is it so important that Jesus said, I am, why did the Jewish people get mad? You have to understand what is being said. When the Jewish people picked up stones, is because they believed Jesus committing blasphemy, because it is a sin to speak about God's name in a way that is offensive to the Jewish people. And John 10:34, it says, Jesus answered, it is not written in your law, I say you are gods. So a lot of people will be like, oh no, Jesus is just claiming to be a God. Well, unfortunately for them, there is no indefinite article in the ancient Greek. So therefore, it cannot be a God. And nevertheless, Jesus is claiming to be the I am. He's claiming to be the burning bush. He's not claiming to be Elohim, just a god or a fallen god or fallen angel. He's deliberately using this language to show, hey, I'm speaking to you Jews. I'm telling you who I am, and you want to stone me. And Jesus is like, hey, even in your language, even in your writings, in your law, it says that people are called gods. So why are you getting frustrated when I say that I'm God? And they tell him, we're not saying that you're claiming to be a God. We want to stone you because you're claiming equality with God the Father, that is. In Psalms 82:6, it says, God stands in the assembly of El. In the midst of God, he renders judgment. He says, how long will you make unjust legal decisions and show favoritism to the wicked? Selah. And so we can see here the first word God is singular in English, but it's Elohim. It's plural in the Hebrew. And the very next word is translated gods, but it's the same word Elohim. It's plural, but we know that our God of the Bible is singular, but yet he's plural. And this is why it's translated as a singular God in English, because there's only one God. But I want you to notice that in verse 6 it says, I thought You are gods. All of you are sons of the Most High. So in verse 6, it is God speaking to these angels, angelic beings, or the fallen angels, or whatever. So he's speaking to them. Yet in John 10:34, Jesus says it is he that says it. See, it's in red. It says, Jesus answered, is it not written in your law, I said you are gods? Jesus is claiming to be God in Psalms 82:6. He's claiming that he's the one that's spoken of this. He says, I say that you are gods. Did I not say this? So that if it is Jesus speaking in Psalms 82 6, then you have to submit that Jesus is Yahweh, because it is Yahweh speaking in Psalms 82:6. In John 10:34, Jesus answered, it is not written that in your law I said you are gods. And again, this is Jesus speaking. In John 8:58, again, back to it, it says, Jesus said to them, I tell you the solemn truth. Before Abraham came into existence, I am. What is Jesus claiming? He is claiming to be the burning bush. He's claiming to be the God of Psalms 82. He's claiming to be the God of the Old Testament. And to reject this is just silliness on someone's part, because Jesus does not need to come out and speak in a English vernacular and say, I am God. We cannot say, hey, Jesus, if you want me to believe you, you must do it my way. This is pride. And this is telling Jesus, hey, the way that you did it is not sufficient for me. We must submit to the text, and the text is indisputable that Jesus is God. In John 8:59, it says, then they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus was hidden from them and went out from the temple area. Why did they pick up stones? Because in their law, it is stated that anyone that blasphemed the name of God must be put to death. And that's in Leviticus 24:16. And that reads, and one who misuses the name of the Lord must surely be put to death. And this Lord here is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. It is the Tetragrammaton. It is the burning bush, the self-revealed burning bush, God of the Old Testament, that if you blaspheme the Lord in any way, shape, or form, you must be surely put to death. And so by knowing this, and knowing that they picked up stones to stone Jesus, they believed Jesus commit blasphemy. So now you have two options. Yes, you have to submit that the Jewish people are correct and Jesus in fact did commit blasphemy, or Jesus did not commit blasphemy, and when he said I am, Jesus is claiming to be the burning bush. 858 is not claiming to be an agent for God. We have to make that explicitly clear, because that's one of the arguments people use. No, Jesus is claiming to be the burning bush. Jesus is claiming to be the great I am. Jesus is claiming to be the self-revealing God of the burning bush to Moses. Back to the Leviticus 24:6, it says, the whole congregation must surely stone him, whether he is a resident, foreigner, or a native citizen. When he misuses the name, he must be put to death. You see, they held this name so high and with such reverence that even when we found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they would not write out Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. They would put four dots in some places because it was so holy. And Jesus knew this. And so, did Jesus misuse the name of the Lord? No, no, he didn't. Jesus was sinless. Therefore, Jesus is claiming to be God. If you like this Bible study, I would love it for you to subscribe, share, and send it to someone that believes Jesus is not God.